We're here with John, CEO of DynamicAction, and Sarah, Senior VP at DynamicAction. Talk a little bit about DynamicAction. What is DynamicAction, and does it apply for a small, medium enterprise?
So DynamicAction is advanced analytics for merchants. So we're really using a lot of AI technologies and machine learning to help merchants and customer insight groups really understand their customers, understand where the products that they have, where they can sell those, and how they can make a profit. And so having a whole system that brings together a large amount of data, sifts through it, and then suggests to a retailer, here's the next best set of things that you can do. You should offer these products more frequently. You should start to market in these areas, and here's your best customers. The one unique thing about being online, whether you're small or large, is that you don't get to see your customers face to face. I mean, these are, in many cases, they're just a person coming across a set of clicks, of footsteps that are coming across the site. And by looking into the data and getting a more representative view of what that customer is about, what your product is about, that's how small and medium businesses become medium and large businesses, by really understanding their customer, their data, their products, and what the market is doing. So we think that there's a big opportunity for all businesses that use their information that they have to not be a commodity, but to be a premium retailer and somebody that can sustain themselves, not just this year, but into the future.
So how does what are we talking about price point wise for a small and medium enterprise that doesn't have an in-house team? How do they work with DynamicAction?
Yeah, so we have a number of luxury brands and premium brands that work with us today. The one thing is that we're bringing together all the data that they have within their business. So there's a setup fee to bring in DynamicAction, and then after that it's a monthly subscription. And so our subscription can start anywhere from $75,000 a year, and it can go up into the millions of dollars for very large enterprises. And it really just depends on the size of the company that we're working with.
But it's not only their budget, but it's also they have to have an internal data set to pull from, right?
Yeah, every retailer that's online definitely has data that's being, it's the digital exhaust of every customer that comes through.
Right.
And then the part that most customers or most retailers are looking at is how do they get more about their store-based store-based business and bring that and meld that together. And that's what we do for a large number of retailers. Today we have about 14 billion in US dollars that are flowing through DynamicAction.
Wow.
Large customers in Europe, Southern Europe, all across the US that use DynamicAction to run their business.
Given the opportunities with data, are you seeing a lot of brick and mortars go overseas solely online?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly see that as a good way for these retailers to enter a new marketplace, right? To test the waters, to be able to look. The data set from an online perspective is so much more clear, right? When you're trying to connect offline and online data, that's where it gets a lot more complex. We certainly do that for a lot of our retailers. So going into these new markets, and you have to also understand that from market to market, the rules and regulations from an e-commerce perspective are very different. Yeah. So, going into that market, testing in that regard first, looking at what that data set looks like, testing new products in new markets. Something might resonate in Germany that just doesn't resonate in Japan, right? So looking at things that way, it's a great way to go in and test without that high cost. I mean, there are ways to go into multiple markets, and we certainly have done this with some of our customers where they're launching 5 or 6 markets in one day at the same time, different languages, different sites, but they can test those markets against each other. It gives you a really great sample set.
So one of the interesting things too, we were over in London last week for Fashion Week, and what we saw were almost all of the brands and retailers that we talked to, they're coming to the US. And they actually have, I think they have a bit of an advantage over US companies, because typically if you're in the UK or you're in Europe, you're launching in 1, 2, 4, 5 different countries. In fact, one of the brands that we were talking to there is in 49 different countries. Wow. And so they're a Swedish brand, 49 different countries, 49 different sites, 49 different stores, and they're launching those. They launched them all in 6 months. US, one of the things that the US retailer thinks about is, how am I doing in geographies? How am I doing in the East, the Midwest, and the West? And that, getting that jump to go to the UK or France or Germany is a big leap for them. They have to think through that, whereas those that start in Europe have already, thought, we're going to be an international company by design. We have to, or we can't be a big company. So I think that US companies, that's something that they have to, really consider, but the opportunity is massive. I mean, the amount of business that's there is very, very large.
If you can hire any superhero with any superpower for your company, what superpower would they have?
I think I'm going to hire Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, okay.
Yeah.
You have Wonder Woman right here.
I know, exactly. With the lasso of truth, that's what we want to hear.
Okay.